Sounds good.
So, yeah.
Kella Price here with Healthy Fit, and I'm with Jason Vanderhoven of Choffy. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to talk to you about the benefits of brewed chocolate. I love coffee. I love hot chocolate. How did you decide to get into this marketplace and start selling a brewed chocolate product?
That's a great question, and I'd love to say that I was some big scientist or somebody that, had this massive amount of knowledge about the cocoa bean going into this. But in all actuality, I was an athlete and I love being healthy. I love taking care of my body. I was thinking about what I could do to help people to be healthier and happier. And I had a dream about it one night, and that's what got me started.
So we should listen to our dreams.
I think absolutely. When you look at that, there's really cool amounts of knowledge that can come to you. You don't have a lot of filters on, and for me, that was a big thing. I had that dream, and I woke up and I was like, "Holy cow, that was awesome! Let's give this a shot." And that's what got me going.
That's so awesome. Now, the coffee marketplace, I feel like, is pretty competitive. How do you differentiate from all of the other products on the market with the brewed chocolate?
Well, that's a great question. We are the original brewed chocolate, as I'm the inventor of modern day brewed chocolate. And so there's one, maybe two others that are out there. But what we do to differentiate ourselves is we really focus on quality, because the reason why I got into this wasn't to make $1 million. It was to help people to be healthier and to be happier and to be able to be more vibrant and enjoy their time here. We thought, well, yeah, if we're going to do this, let's really pump all of the quality that we can into this. Let's make sure that this is our passion. Let's make sure that whoever works with us, it's their passion. And so quality is the number one thing. And the number two thing is we make sure that it tastes good. Having something that's a superfood or something that's really healthy is great. But a lot of the times, things that people make don't really taste so fantastic that are superfoods. And so everyone says, oh, no, I don't want to eat that, or I don't want to drink that. It tastes bad. And if you can
You sound like my husband talking about kale.
Exactly, right? I look at that and, my wife says, hey, let's have a kale salad. And my kids say, what are you talking about? That's terrible. And it's one of those types of scenarios. But if you can take and make something that is a superfood, that's fantastic for you, and then make it taste great, where people say, oh man, I love that, then it's easy for people to want to put that into their bodies, and that's going to help them to feel better. And It's a cyclical thing, right? They intake more of the good things, they feel better, they want to do more, they intake more of the good things, and it just keeps getting better as you do that. But you have to have that first little bit, which is taste, because people don't want to put things in their mouth if it doesn't taste good.
Absolutely. Now, how do you go about brewing chocolate over coffee? How is it different? How do you brew the perfect cup of Choffy?
That's a really great question. There's a couple of different ways. One, which you use, which I saw, and that's a French press. French presses are really great. They're easy. You just have basically a cylinder, be it glass or steel or whatever it is, and you put your Choffy into that cylinder. You pour your boiling water in there, stir it up, let it steep, give it a second or a third stir, let it steep for, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. And then when you depress the screen, it screens all of the grounds to the bottom because cocoa beans don't dissolve. A lot of people think, oh, chocolate dissolves. Well, it takes a little bit of processing to get chocolate to dissolve. Naturally, a cocoa bean is not completely water soluble. So there's going to be grounds just like coffee. So you screen them to the bottom and then you pour off your Choffy. And so that is probably the single best way to get the best cup of Choffy that you could possibly have.
Yes, so I have my Café du Chateau coffee press here, and this is my favorite way to brew it. I've tried doing it in the coffee maker, but I find that this gives you I feel like a more robust flavor because it's actually soaking in the beans a little bit longer, and the water, I believe, is hotter when you do the boiling water vice using your coffee machine. And if you're not in a rush, this is a great way to enjoy it. So I put the grounds in and I boiled my filtered water, and it's been sitting here and I've been anxiously waiting to bring it out so that I could enjoy my Choffy. Today I'm trying your Ivory Coast, which is a medium roast.
Yep. That's going to be our lightest roast.
Pardon?
That's also our lightest roast.
Oh, okay.
So from here, you're gonna have this light chocolatey experience, and as you press that down, you'll see that you're starting to screen those grounds to the bottom. Mm-hmm. But you're gonna have a light chocolatey experience with some grainy notes. It's gonna be a great, fantastic experience. The cool thing is that there's a lot of other products that we offer that will definitely change some of the flavor profiles for you.
Pressing it all the way to the bottom. Like so. And I just gotta pour it in my cup. I like mine just black. So if someone's never tried Choffy, tilt this down just so you can see. It's a dark color like hot chocolate. However, it is not as thick, almost like a mix between a hot chocolate and a coffee in terms of the color and opaqueness of the drink.
Yeah, and it's not going to be creamy because there's no dairy in it. It's just 100% cocoa beans. And so a lot of people think of a hot chocolate as something that's milky and sugary and something like that. And this isn't going to be like that. You're going to have, in terms of its sweetness, it's going to be about as sweet as a black coffee. It's not going to be sweet to start out because a cocoa bean is naturally not a sweet bean. But you're also going to have some of the richness that comes from a cocoa bean, which is going to, especially if it's in a French press, you can have a little bit more thickness that comes from that, and you'll get a really great product that you can then pick and choose what you add to a Choffy if you're going to add something. A lot of people ask me, they say, well, how do you drink your Choffy? Or how should I drink my Choffy if I'm just trying it? And my response typically is I say, okay, are you a coffee drinker? And they say, yeah. And I say, okay, well, you can try it black and ask them, do you drink your coffee black? Most of the time people say no. So I say, well, try it black if you'd like, or try adding whatever you add into your coffee. That's a great place to start. because basically what you're doing is just replacing the coffee with chocolate.
I feel like it has, in comparison to a cup of coffee, even though it's not super sweet, it's more like the taste that you would get if you were experiencing a rich, dark chocolate. So it kind of has a sweet finish, but it's not sugary sweet.
Right. And you'll find that it's also not a bitter finish. A lot of people say, well, I don't drink black coffee because it's bitter. And I don't like that bitter aspect of it. Where they say, well, with Choffy, it's much smoother and I get a much better experience with Choffy. And a lot of that comes because Choffy's not acidic. Cocoa beans aren't acidic like a coffee bean. And so that's going to help with it not breaking down and being as bitter. It's going to help with all sorts of issues like digestional issues, where you're going to be able to have this agree with your system much better than something that's acidic. And so as a result, but the flavor does change. And so you're right, it has that kind of smooth, almost a sweet finish to it.
Really good. Now, chocolate, for those of you who are chocolate lovers and are watching or listening, we know that it releases those happy endorphins, which is a great excuse to enjoy chocolate as part of your diet periodically. What are some other benefits of drinking Choffy?
Okay. Well, the first one, which a lot of people are going to say off the cuff, they're going to say that's not a benefit, is it doesn't have a lot of caffeine in it. Coffee has tons of caffeine. So people would say, well, if it doesn't have caffeine, why would I drink it? The answer is it has a different stimulant called theobromine. Theobromine is a vasodilator. So it's going to help encourage healthy blood flow by dilating the vascular system. It's also a peripheral nervous system stimulant. So what's going to happen is your skin will flush and it will breathe better, so better dermal respiration. That being the largest organ in your body is super great to have more blood, which delivers more oxygen and glycogen to your organs, to your body, and so that you function better. So that's one of the things.
And that's great for the power lifters. When I do heavy lifting, you want that vasodilation, that blood flow to the muscles so that you can lift heavier. That blood flow also helps burn more calories during the workout. So if you're targeting and toning different areas, that's a great benefit as well.
You know, that certainly is the case. And to add to that, you're going to also have in Choffy a ton of antioxidants. Now, those are going to be more specifically polyphenols and sterols. So they're plant-based, and they are going to be some of the more active free radical fighting antioxidants, and they are going to really help to buffer lactic acid out of the muscles and out of the system. Because theobromine is a mild diuretic, it's going to help to flush that as well. So you're going to clean your system out as you're drinking Choffy, as you're working out, as you're lifting and burning. You're going to be able to have a methodology to clean those muscles out and to be able to continue performing at a high level.
Antioxidants are great, even for those individuals who aren't lifting weights or exercising regularly, because we come into contact with so many toxins in our environment. As someone with an autoimmune disease, I've had to really evaluate, as someone who eats clean and exercises, other ways to help my body manage my disease. And one of those was removing toxins from my environment. And there's so many things that we come in contact to, from cleaning supplies in the home to fluoride in your water to pollutants, that having antioxidants is helpful to everyone.
Absolutely. You know, our bodies are inundated constantly with different toxins. And so a lot of people say, well, how much am I going to get if I drink a cup of Choffy in terms of antioxidants? And so an easy comparison, people understand that blueberries have a lot of antioxidants. Well, 1 cup of Choffy is going to have more than a serving and a half of blueberries worth of antioxidants in it. So if you're to go out and eat almost 2 cups of blueberries, that's what 1 cup of Choffy is going to give you in terms of its antioxidants. So that's an awful lot, and that's really going to help your body to just feel better And what I say is to function better at that cellular level where your body is just performing the way it was intended to perform.
Now, some other benefits that I read about cocoa was supporting your heart, brain, and bones with magnesium. As an aging woman myself, magnesium is one of those things that we look at and we test when we go for our physicals. And this can impact your sleep and your body's restful state as well. Maintaining blood sugar levels with chromium and zinc. And again, zinc is another one of those minerals that they commonly test people for deficiency when they're going to get their physicals or they're not feeling quite right. So I think that's pretty awesome. Sleeping better. Who gets awesome sleep every night, right? That's almost a moving target for a lot of us in today's society, is that we've given up on getting good sleep, and it's so beneficial to your health to get that good sleep. And the last thing, which I wanted to talk to you more about, was curbing your appetite and helping lose weight. I read that Dr. Oz had talked about brewed chocolate as one of the top ways to lose weight. And I think that's like crazy, right?
You know, it is. And when this all started, it was in 2011 in September. So Dr. Oz contacted us and they said, hey, we'd love to be able to look at your product. And so we thought, oh, okay, great. We'll send it over to them. And so we sent it over to them, and they asked for some more, and then they asked for some more, and then they asked for some more, and they asked for some more. And we're like, oh, what are they doing? And so they said, well, we want to get Dr. Oz to be able to try it, but everybody is just kind of drinking it all before he can get in and try it. And so we've had all of our team evaluate, and what they found is that Choffy, or cocoa beans, have the ability to help the body to slough off excess fat and to find a happy body balance. And so that's what we were featured in. And so in September of 2011, Dr. Oz took Choffy on, and we were featured as his #3 best of the best for weight loss. So for people that were looking to be able to say, hey, I want to shed a few pounds off, I want to get back to something that's natural and that's healthy, whatever your body composition is, whatever you are at, Choffy helps to do that.
As a fitness and nutrition coach, I always have clients that are looking for the easiest possible way, because a lot of people, losing weight and maintaining healthy lifestyles is hard. If it was easy, then we wouldn't have so many people in our society that are overweight and obese. But I think using a product like Choffy as part of your daily routine could definitely help in terms of what you said. And I'm going to read what Dr. Oz said. It can help you burn fat faster. It has a natural stimulant, not caffeine, called theobromine, that can boost your metabolism. It's very safe. It also has a fat blocker. It helps get rid of fat in your body by blocking an enzyme you need to digest fat, so you never absorb fat into your body. So I think that's a good complement when people are making healthy habits. They're trying to make changes in their life to live a healthier lifestyle through eating better and moving more. And Choffy could definitely complement that whole routine. You mentioned earlier about the lack of actual caffeine, but it does have the natural stimulant. And I find with a lot of clients, we're over caffeinated in America. They're not getting the good sleep that we talked about earlier. And so they feel like they need that cup of coffee to get moving, or they need that energy drink, and they're not fueling their body properly. Like some people we know, they're skipping meals, and so their energy level crashes because they're not fueling their body. So they drink more caffeine to get their energy level back up to finish their day. And then they get home and they had that late cup of coffee and they're wired. So then they're like, okay, now I need some alcohol to kind of counteract. And they unwind with alcohol to relax themselves and put them to sleep. But actually that impacts your sleep cycle. And then it's a vicious cycle all over. So I love the fact that we're trying to get rid of some of the coffee that's stimulant. Like myself, I'm on a autoimmune disease protocol. And so I've cut out caffeine for the most part. I limit myself in terms of caffeine intake to, if I'm having regular coffee or tea that has caffeine, to 1 cup in the morning. Because that's not good for our adrenal gland. We have so many people who have adrenal fatigue issues, and all that caffeine and that adrenal issues causes stress on the body, which ultimately impacts their health in the waistline because it releases the cortisol, which helps you retain weight in the waist. So it's all this huge vicious cycle for sure.
You know, it really is. And when you look at it, what's marketed to us every day is caffeine, caffeine, caffeine. We want something that's going to pick you up and get you going. But the reality is that every time that you're intaking caffeine, you're in a degrading situation, because caffeine, as it artificially boosts the metabolism, your body says, oh, I don't need to produce as much. My metabolic rate can drop. So then once it hits its half-life, caffeine does, now your body's producing less energy than it was before. So you're kind of in this degrading situation where your situation degrades and degrades and degrades until you're not producing a level that was normal of metabolic energy unless you're caffeinated. So now you feel terrible in the morning, you feel terrible once your cup of coffee or your energy drink runs out and people are running to go get something different. But with Choffy, the cool thing is because it's just a vasodilator and it allows the body to naturally produce its own energy and doesn't stimulate the heart to beat a whole lot faster, then your body naturally begins to say, oh, I see what's going on. I need to produce at X level. So your body increases its metabolic rate to whatever level you're supposed to be at. So there's your first piece. The second thing about sleep is so important. And a lot of people say, well, I'm going to forego sleep, or I'm not really going to care about my sleep. But if you look at what your body does while it's sleeping, there's a massive amount going on while you're sleeping to repair your brain from the daily stress, to repair your body, to make sure that you are ready to go for the next day and keep you running healthy. So sleep is super important, and caffeine inhibits the production of melatonin, which melatonin makes you feel tired. So you drink that coffee, and like you said, then to counteract that, because your body isn't producing melatonin, people take a shot or two or some alcohol or whatever, and that messes with them. So it's all this artificial stimulants and other things that you're putting into your body. Choffy with theobromine does not inhibit the production of melatonin. So you can drink Choffy, you can intake theobromine and still go to sleep whenever you want to. Now, you'll have more energy, you'll feel good, but you can have a cup before you go to bed at night. My wife and I do, we put our kids to bed, we sit down, talk about the day, have a cup of Choffy together before we go to bed, and that's fine, and we sleep well. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I hear is people saying, I feel tired. And we find out that they feel tired because they're artificially stimulating their body and they're not sleeping and they're not feeding it right. So all those things that you just touched on are so super important. And having a product like Choffy enables your body to be able to find that natural happy balance instead of artificially creating levels where you think you should be, but maybe you really shouldn't be there.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you pointed out you can have a cup later in the day and it's not going to impact your sleep. I'm a runner, and I know that dark chocolate is one of those pre-workout bites that can actually boost your workout through increased aerobic capacity. You had mentioned the vasodilators. but I also read that research found that consuming dark chocolate can improve your VO2 max by up to 17%, which is like crazy good for those of you who are runners and are watching or listening. How do you recommend us using this? Do you recommend runners to have their Choffy as a pre-workout? And if so, how far in advance would you consume your Choffy before you start that workout?
Okay, that's a really good question. So a lot of people, they feel like any pre-workout drinks they got to take right before they work out. So there's good and bad to all of that. And a lot of pre-workouts have a lot of caffeine in them. And the reason why they're having you consume them right before you work out is because the half-life of caffeine, or its effective amount, is in between 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. So if you take your pre-workout an hour before, you got maybe 15 minutes of real effectiveness of that pre-workout drink before it really starts losing its effectiveness. The half-life of theobromine, which is one of the things that we're looking at for pre-workout, is about 4 to 6 times longer than that of caffeine. So you can be 4 hours, 6 hours, even as long as almost 7 hours before Choffy hits its, and theobromine hits its half-life. So
did you hear that, ultra runners? 4 to 6 hours. This is like perfect for my triathletes and those who do Ironmans like me.
if you're running Boston, it's a great thing because you're going to be able to have that over that elongated period of time that you are running and working out. We have some friends that have run Boston a couple of times and qualified and run, and that's awesome, and they think it's great, and talk to them about Choffy and how it can help their performance, and we found huge results. Another one of my friends up here in Alpine, Utah, he is with a biking group, and they bike long distance. So they get in, and his whole group was saying, man, one of the things that we struggle with is we struggle with crashing at a 4 hour mark. 4 hour mark is just tough to make it past the 4 hour mark. And he said, well, I've got this stuff called Choffy, and I'm leading our group, and you're wondering why I don't crash. Well, this is a great reason why I don't crash. So his whole group started to drink Choffy, and now he buys it for all of them, and they have their Choffy before they work out. So question, how long before? You want to make sure that you're able to get Choffy out of your stomach. Of course, you work out too strenuously, a lot of people throw up because they've got stuff in their stomach. Get it out of your stomach. You're going to be fine. Give it an hour before. An hour for a liquid to pass through your stomach. Most people are going to have that passed on, but the effectiveness is going to continue for hours afterwards. So as a pre-workout drink, I say, about an hour is a great amount of time. You don't need to have it soon with less time than that. Give yourself some time so that your body can figure everything out and then be able to utilize what you've just put into it and perform well.
Thank you for that. I would almost think that it's winter time here right now and it's chilly out. Maybe even taking a little thermos for a halfway point to sip on some Choffy is definitely more appealing when you're cold, especially cycling. I get cold hands and whatnot, to warm yourself up with a warm beverage vice, something that is in a water bottle for sure.
Yep, that is true. And in the summers, a lot of people say, well, Choffy's hot. We've been working and living in Vegas for the last 16 years. It's hot there. This year it was 117 degrees many, many days. And you walk outside and on the pavement, when you're running out on the pavement, you're 130. It's tough. So people say, well, a hot drink doesn't sound that appealing to me, but I want the benefits that come with drinking Choffy. What can I do? They always ask, well, can I have it iced? And the answer is, yeah, absolutely, you can have it iced. Some of the things that we do is we even make little Choffy ice cubes. Put the Choffy in a water bottle, put the ice cubes in the water bottle, the Choffy ice cubes, so it doesn't get diluted, so I've got all of the benefit that's coming and all of the flavor that's coming from Choffy, and then use that. That's a great way to have it hot or cold. And you're right, as a mid-set break, as something to sip on while you're going through your workout, it's going to be a great product to be able to have, because theobromine, along with, just like caffeine, a lot of it is absorbed through the stomach lining. You're going to be able to have that enter your system faster than other things would. So as a mid-set break, as a go along while you're working out, it's a great product.
Now, you mentioned having it iced, and I have brewed it and had it iced. For those of our viewers that have a cold brew press, would the Choffy work in a cold brew press, or would you want to still brew it with the boiling water and then ice it?
So that's a good question. So Toddy, if you're familiar with cold brews, Toddy is a company that they produce a cold brewing machine, and they we worked with them for a good period of time. Depending on your cold brew machine, some of them work fantastically well. However, if you are looking for the benefits, a lot of the benefits that come from a cocoa bean are hot water soluble transfers. So you need the temperature to be able to turn that soluble piece into solution, and then to be able to have that transfer over into the Choffy. So I always tell everyone, people say, oh, well, we do coffee like that so that it's less acidic. Well, you don't have to worry about less acidic for Choffy. So you can utilize the hot water. People say, well, boiling water is going to be tough it scorches coffee. Well, it doesn't scorch cocoa beans. So you can have 212 roaring boil water and put it into your Choffy. All you're going to do is increase the effectiveness of that brewing time period, where you're going to get more out of it. So I always tell everybody, brew hot. Brewing hot's okay. And you're going to get a lot more out of your Choffy when you do that. Which leads me to the next thing. People say, well, can I do something with the grounds afterwards? People don't think of eating them or making them into something or putting them in a protein drink or a smoothie or anything like that, because they wouldn't do that with coffee. But with Choffy, now we're talking, you're ingesting the entire cocoa bean. So I throw some into my protein drinks, and I throw some into whatever it is that I'm baking. And we have different recipes. We use it on rubs for meats or whatever we happen to use. And there's a lot of people using it in desserts or whatever. And there's just a lot more nutrients that's coming out of that. So hot brew, use the grounds, all of it's available. It's all fantastic for you, and you're gonna feel the difference.
So if you want to use the coffee, because I have the Choffy grounds in the bottom here, how much would I put into my protein shake?
So I start out, and people use different amounts. I start out with just something as simple as a tablespoon. I throw it in and I blend it up. I've got a great blender. You can get, I don't know, I've got a little magic bullet that I can make right the size for me, so I can pop everything in there, throw my Choffy in there, throw the grounds in there, blend it up, and that's good. Some people use more, some people use less. You'll figure out what you like in terms of taste, and also how it makes you feel.
I'm definitely going to try that for sure. Now, chocolate also helps reduce inflammation, which is another challenge for us as we age. Myself, with my autoimmune disease, I'm trying to stave off inflammation in my body. And a lot of us get inflammation from, we talked about the toxins and the things in our environment, or things that are non-optimal that we eat impact our body. How much of these anti-inflammation flavonoids are in the Choffy product?
So there are a whole lot. In terms of the exact amount, it's going to differ based on a couple of different things. Where the product comes from, i.e. what subspecies of cocoa it is. So we offer products from the Ivory Coast, from Ghana, and from Ecuador. They are going to have different amounts based on the subspecies of cocoa. Secondly, it's going to be how they're processed. So when we process our cocoa beans into Choffy, we are as minimally invasive as we can possibly be and as respectful as we can possibly be to the bean, to where we can produce a product that will be able to extract those great qualities and be able to produce a flavor that's going to taste good as well. So that's a tricky question that you're asking me. The answer is there's a lot, but it's going to also depend on how far each one is roasted. So you'll find that we have medium roasts, dark roasts, French roasts. Anytime that you roast anything, you are going to be removing some of the health benefit of what the product would be raw. But since we have a fine balance between, if you were to take raw cocoa beans, people say, why don't you just take raw cocoa beans and brew them? The answer is, well, because the bean hasn't been altered to the point where you can extract anything out of it. So you end up with hot water, and that doesn't do a whole lot for you. So we have to find this nice balance and a healthy balance between taste versus extracting versus nutrients. And so we've kind of got this trifecta of things that we have to look at. And so definitely, I would say the most bang for your buck in terms of anti-inflammatory response is going to be probably found in our dark roasts. The medium roasts, though, taste great and you get good benefit. We found you can extract a little bit more if you roast a little bit more. So we did move to that dark roast, and we find that our dark roasts are the most popular of all of our products. And then if you go on to the French roast, you're gonna back off a little bit of that, but you are going to exchange for a little bit of flavor as well. So they all are fantastic. If you're looking for your absolute, if you're hardcore looking for best bang for your buck, don't care about anything but that, dark roasts are gonna be your middle of the road where you're gonna wanna sit at. But if you like medium roast, if you like French roast, they're all going to have a massive amount in there. The inflammatory response will be taken care of much better while drinking Choffy, and so they are going to vary on each one, but you can be assured that you're going to get a lot.
That's awesome. Now, many people know that they feel good when they eat chocolate, whether they haven't made that connection of why. People enjoy eating chocolate, but actually there are boosts of your mood in the cocoa bean through the mood regulating hormone serotonin, which also impacts, we talked about sleep earlier, that serotonin is also a critical linkage to sleep.
Yes.
Now I know that with darker chocolate, you get more serotonin. Can you talk to me a little bit about the mood boosting benefits?
Sure. So your body is what produces your serotonin. So the question is, what can you introduce into the body to help you produce serotonin? So let's back up a little bit and talk about what we have in Choffy that's going to help you ultimately produce more serotonin, because this is chocolate, it's real, it's science, and it's pretty cool. So you start off with a chemical compound that's naturally occurring in the cocoa bean. It's called phenol and ethylamine. Now what that does is when you ingest that helps to stimulate the production of anandamide. So anandamide says to the body, okay, I'm going to help the body to do a number of things, one of which is produce higher levels of serotonin. So when you introduce cocoa beans into your system, you're going to take in that phenol and ethylamine, your body's going to produce more anandamide, you're going to produce more serotonin, and you're going to feel better, you're going to manage stress better, you're going to be able to sleep better. A lot of people say, they ask me the question, they say, okay, well, tell me this. Why is it then that, and I've had girls talk to me about this, and specifically there was a lady who said, why is it that my husband doesn't care so much about chocolate? He's like, it's okay. I eat it and it's fine. But I love it. I want it all the time. I love dark chocolate. It makes me feel great. I asked my husband, does it make you feel great? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. It makes me feel fine. Well, the science behind that is this, that testosterone, which everyone, male or female, has certain levels of testosterone in their system. Males have a lot more. Testosterone inhibits the action of phenylethylamine. So when males ingest cocoa beans with phenylethylamine in them, they're not going to produce as much serotonin as women. So women get a much bigger response and they say, oh man, that was great, because literally, chemically, you are producing more serotonin. And so you feel better. Guys, I wish I did, but I don't. I'm like, hey, yeah, it's good. Love it. It's fantastic. I feel good. You do produce more serotonin than you would if you didn't ingest it, but it's not something that is as big of a response as what females get. So I've always been a little bit envious of girls because they get that big boost and they're like, woohoo, this is awesome. I feel great. But that's kind of the science behind it. So it's a big thing, especially when you're talking about dealing with stress, being able to focus. Serotonin really helps with all of that. So if you're studying for something, if you have a stressful life, right, which nobody has a stressful life, especially these days, 2020 has been easy. This helps to deal with that. So you're going to be able to feel better about your world and the surroundings that you're in and say, yeah, life is okay. We can make it through this, and we can do this, and we can continue on. That's all a big reaction that comes from ingesting phenylethylamine.
Wow. So Choffy, just to recap, it helps you lose weight. It improves your strength, your endurance, your energy level, boosts your metabolism, reduces inflammation, boosts your mood. Did I miss anything?
One thing we haven't covered, which is kind of cool, this was actually in Muscle Magazine. They did a study that shows that you've got a couple of hormones in your system. And those hormones, you have one called follistatin and one called myostatin. And so those are going to, one of them, when one's high, it's going to say to the body, hey, you need to put on long-term storage, let's put on fat. The other one says, hey, you need to put on lean muscle mass because you're doing a whole lot of work, and that's how you build muscle. So the question was, does cocoa help you to be able to build muscle? And the answer is yes. So sometimes I'm dyslexic on this, and I don't remember whether it's follistatin that is in check when, and myostatin goes unchecked and you produce muscle. I believe that's how it goes. So cocoa beans have a chemical compound, epication, and that helps to put follistatin in check and allows myostatin to go unchecked. So your body produces denser, leaner muscle mass. Now that's huge when talking about working out, but that's huge in terms of generalized health, because when you can support the skeletal structure, so your body is held together with your muscles, you're going to feel better. You're going to burn more calories. That's where Dr. Oz was talking about being able to burn more fat. Part of that is being able to produce muscle so that you can burn fat. Muscle burns fat, fat doesn't burn fat. So muscle burns calories. So that's what we say. Muscle burns calories, muscle burns fat, same thing, right? And if you're feeding yourself properly. But that's a big thing, being able to produce lean muscle mass. And if you're an athlete, or if you're just somebody who's just walking around, you want to be able to produce enough lean muscle mass, at least, that you're supporting yourself and encouraging healthy body composition.
Very cool. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I am using the Ivory Coast medium Choffy today, but on your website, there are so many different options. How does someone who has never tried Choffy figure out what is the perfect Choffy for them?
That is a really great question. So you'll notice that you have that Ivory Coast medium roast. This is a Volta dark roast. This is from Ghana. We have an Ivory Coast dark roast. We got a lot of things on there. Now, the first thing that you're going to look at is you can go to each one of our products, or you can go to our flavor chart, and it's going to say things like, on the bottom here, it has, this one tastes like it has a light chocolatey flavor with some earthy tones. And this one is going to have a rich chocolatey and smoky flavor to that. So it's going to be different.
Yeah,
What's
and
that one
mine
called?
says light chocolatey flavor with grainy notes.
Yep. So you're going to find that there's going to be flavor profiles, and you can find those on our website and under our flavor chart. But one of the things that we tell people to start out with, we separate people first right off the bat into coffee and non-coffee drinkers, because coffee drinkers have a certain expectation of brewed drinks. And non-coffee drinkers typically don't have that same expectation. We find that people that don't drink coffee typically gravitate towards our lighter roasts. So those would be our Ivory Coast medium roast, our Volta medium roast, the Icy dark roast or the Ivory Coast dark roast, and even into our Volta dark roast are going to be our lighter products and on the spectrum. And we find that non-coffee drinkers really enjoy those. And then we find with coffee drinkers that they like more of the darker side. So we see the Ecuador French roast. That's our most robust, most coffee-like product. And we see a lot of coffee drinkers, they love that. They think it's absolutely fantastic. Our Volta French roast has a rich, chocolatey, mocha-like flavor. They love that aspect of it. And then with our Ivory Coast French roast, that has a more of a medium body chocolatey flavor with a good roasted, smoky component. So you'll be able to find different products just by looking at them. But I would say right off the bat, if you're trying to figure it out and you drink coffee, gravitate towards something a little bit darker. If you don't drink coffee, gravitate towards something a little bit lighter, and you'll find those on our flavor chart, and that's an easy way to start. From there, you can explore. We also just introduced about, I think a month ago, these new sampler packs where you can get a sample, a sampler pack. It's 3.5 ounces. It will brew an entire 14 cup pot of Choffy, or you can brew a couple of French presses like what you have out of each one, and you can get either a medium roast sampler set, a dark roast sampler set, a French roast sampler set, or the ultimate sampler set. And that ultimate sampler set you can get for under 40 bucks. So you can try all of our products if you want, or you can try a few of them. That's also a great way to see what you like.
That sounds like a lot of fun too. You could have like a whole tasting party.
Yeah, you can. And the cool thing about it is, let's say that you're brewing with, and you're going to have your mom over or your dad over, and maybe they're not into health as much as you are. And they say, oh, well, like, I don't know that I want to drink it black. I want to add something to it. Well, you can add anything that you would add into a coffee or into a tea, you can add into Choffy. So if you want to add an agave, if you want to add a coconut milk or an almond milk, if you want to add coffee mate creamer, go for it. You can, and you can brew the same pot, and each person can have an individualized experience and have it the way that they want it. And that's kind of cool.
That is really a great way to try it out and sample and find different ways to utilize the Choffy. I know I'm going to try it next with coconut milk because that's the only kind of milk I have, and I think it might change it and make it seem more like almost of a hot chocolate type of drink, more and less different than a coffee style drink like what I'm having right now.
Yep, that's exactly what will happen with that.
Now, I know we're doing a contest, a giveaway for our listeners today. Tell us what is going to be the prize.
Okay, so the prize today, so we're going to have our grand prize is going to be that these two bags of Choffy that I showed you earlier. We have the Volta Dark Roast. That is a 10-ounce bag. It's a retail bag that you can find in a grocery store. If it happens to be in a grocery store that you're in, the same thing with the Ivory Coast French or the Ivory Coast Dark Roast. And these two products, they are great to be able to see the middle of the road. What do we do with our products? They have great chocolatey flavors, both of them. They are both some of our very highest sellers, and they're very popular. So this is a good one. These are good ones to start with. So we're going to have those as our giveaway. And then for everybody else, that if you didn't get if you're not selected, you don't get these. You're not a loser. We love everybody. We want everybody to have a great experience. And so we've got on our website, we've got some coupons that you can use for first-time buyers. That's going to give you great discounts, like 20% off plus free shipping. It's not limited to the amount that you buy, so you can buy as much or as little as you want and make it your own. And that way, everyone is going to have that opportunity.
That's awesome. That's the first Choffy discount, and I'll post links for that on the page. But how you're going to get entered to win the prize, you can comment something that you found interesting about the benefits of Choffy in the comments on the page where it's posted. You can like the post today, the podcast, and you can share it. So you can have up to 3 entries in that drawing. So comment, like, and share for your chance to win the free Choffy. We've got those 2 bags. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today. I really appreciated talking to you and learning about all the health and wellness benefits of Choffy. I know it's a great product that I enjoy, so I'm really appreciative that you took time out of your day to chat with me.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a great time. I've really appreciated being able to talk to you. And I hope that everybody is able to see and learn what the cocoa bean has to offer and what Choffy has to offer for them. It makes a big difference in your life, and we're excited to be able to spend time with you. So thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.